Hey everyone, welcome to Watchers Week, a podcast where we're going to review and discuss all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies leading up to the release of Marvel's The Avengers Infinity War coming out April 27th, 2018. It's a nerdy show for nerdy people, because that's who we are and that's who we care about. My name is Steven, and I'm here with my fellow watchers. You know him, you love him, it's Dr. Cosmic. What's up, Doc?
What is up, guys? Feeling pretty good. Pretty good to talk about this movie. I really just want to talk about one thing in particular. It's big, it's purple, and it's connected to Eternals. You know what I'm talking about.
All right, we'll get into that. And tagging along, as always, we've got Tim.
Hey guys, I'm hooked on a feeling, and that feeling is being super excited to talk about this movie, I guess.
Watchers, this week we are continuing our journey to infinity by talking about 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy, directed by James Gunn. Guys, what did you think?
It's a fantastic movie. I mean, this was again like a huge groundbreaker for Marvel Studios. A lot of people, this was like kind of the, kind of point in the, conquest, the checkpoint where everyone was like, okay, they can prove that they can really make a successful movie about anything, really. So now, like, every Marvel movie after this is going to be a hit. They've proven that with this movie. So, yeah, I mean, I really liked it.
Yeah, I definitely liked this movie particularly more than Volume 2, which I'm sure we'll get to much later in Phase 3. But yeah, there was a lot of good stuff in this movie. A lot of good Easter eggs. Once again, Marvel seeding stuff for future times. Kevin Feige, the master himself. Um, but even just with the opening, they capture you, or they capture this emotionality, and it kind of it grounds things before they get cosmic with everything.
Right. I think there's this like meme going around where it's from the Man of Steel movie with Jonathan Kent talking to Clark, his son, as a boy, and he's like, "The world's just not ready for a Wonder Woman movie yet," and it shows Marvel be like, "Here's a talking raccoon," and it's just that. It's nobody was expecting this home run from Marvel, this completely left field out of the blue Guardians of the Galaxy that nobody has ever heard of until now to be made into the phase 2 of the MCU. I mean, it's completely incredible. And the fact that it was such a huge success, I have to agree with Timothy, is just showing that Marvel could do no wrong from this point on. We left that
Absolutely, yeah.
past
And
behind.
we've talked about it before that this phase in particular, while some of the movies weren't so great, it was kind of the most diverse in tone. They were able to capture a lot of different things. We had Winter Soldier previously, that was a political thriller. We had Dark World that couldn't decide whether, the Infinity Stone was a stone or some liquid, oozy, Black Swan prequel thing. Yeah, whatever that was. Um, we had Iron Man 3, and that was, Iron Man 3. but but I mean, it's still, we still have two more to go in this phase, and they're pretty good ones. And yeah, I just think that the tone uh, is pretty diverse. But speaking of this movie in particular, I think James Gunn did a pretty fantastic job like what you said, nobody had really heard of that about these characters, so they were able to take quite a few liberties with them, um, because they do deviate from the comics a little bit, but it works. You know, when you're able to deviate from the comic books and make it work, then people will still be happy. So
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that um, sh just steering away from that kind of source material with the comics, Marvel Studios is still proving successful with that. It's, I think, them just sticking to the Marvel movie formula, though. I mean, from the beginning of this movie, I think it still follows that successful, formula that they've been running with all of their movies. It kind of, you start off with the hero and why he is the way he is, or some emotional thing that's going to come back to play in later. So having this uh, emotional scene in the hospital where he's like a kid and his mom's dying, like that's all, classic Marvel movie kind of thing. We first get a little kind of glimpse, either before or after, or somewhere in the middle of uh, this is going to come back to play later. And then we kind of just, and then again, ease into the story, and then ease a regular flow into the story until, oh man, remember that happened that at the beginning that we showed you? Yeah, we've kind of caught up to that point where that matters now.
Yeah, I mean the thing with I forget his Quill, right? Quill, right? I think.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny. I just now realized that quill is what you hold arrows in, right? No, that's a quiver.
Yeah, nope, that's not it.
Oh man, I was gonna do a pun about him and Yandu being like,
Mm-mm.
buddies and all, father and son. Man, that would have been really good if that actually worked. You know what? I'm gonna call James Gunn. I have his number right here. I'm just gonna call him, see if we can change that before Infinity War. Gonna see if we can change that.
I don't know if you can change. Well, I guess you could change his name, but I don't know if you could change a word in
Yeah,
its
like in
definition.
honor of Yandu. Just change his name to
In,
Quiver.
in honor of Yandu, he
Um,
takes a name that isn't kind of really related to him.
but I was gonna say that little Pete really had a horrible day. And the first opening scenes is that
Yeah, his day sucked.
his day sucked. He probably had a crappy day at school. They probably didn't have his favorite lunch, you know. Then he got called in. Everybody's crying. His mom died right in front of him, and then he got abducted by aliens. I mean, there's like no worst day out there.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Wednesdays, am I right, guys? All the
Seriously.
time. Just getting abducted by aliens. Always puts a kink in my plans.
Right, but I don't think I went too much into this movie before I saw it in theaters. So when I saw, the sadness, the terror, and the pure emotion of this, and then we get to the future where from a distant planet, then you're thinking, oh, it's all sci-fi and strange, like, and you don't know what's going on, and then all of a sudden he puts his headphones on, clicks his little Walkman, and then the title sequence opens up and you're like, okay, all right, this is completely different from anything else you've done, Marvel, and I'm excited. It really hooked me in the very first moments of the movie. I'm very, very excited to watch the movie every time it comes on. Every time I see the DVD, I am very tempted to play it because it is such a great movie. I mean, it does have its faults. Let's not get into that just yet, but for me, this is one of a kind just based on the shocking sequence of how I didn't know who this was, and now I love him, and I'm
Yeah,
excited.
even though they tweaked a little bit from the comic book lore, uh, I, they don't shy away from world building. So getting a movie that takes place in like outer space for the majority of this whole movie is just that you get to now kind of start to fill in the gaps that are part of this huge, Marvel Cinematic Universe. So when when that starts to come to fruition, and you're starting to be like, oh, they're talking about Thanos and Nebula and Kree, and you're just like, where they're kind of starting to blow up, be thrown around. It's just like it's a both a good sign that you know are afraid to talk about that kind of stuff, like some other thing, superhero kind of topics and stuff like that. Um,
Open
but
their
it's
mouths.
also great that they're incorporating it into the story where it matters, and it's not just fan service.
Right. And so with this movie, they like would say random words, but you kind of didn't really care about, you know, the little ball of lights, the magnetic machines that could somehow, grab anything in its path, the references of Ninja Turtles, rocket boots. Like you just like didn't care. You just accepted it for what it was, and you're like, all right, roll with it. Let me just continue moving on with the story. You didn't have to pause or like stare or question anything. You just ran with it, which is something really hard to do in a movie, and was successfully done in this movie in particular.
Yeah, agreed. The only thing though that I did question was Benicio del Toro's character, the Collector. Not only I don't know, not only did I not like his performance, but
His take on it, interpretation.
yeah, but also just the costume design I thought was kind of lacking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
I've
really.
seen stuff that has shown up on, like, model runways before. That is like not the craziest thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it
That
was I think it was because there's some costumes in this movie that are really good, and then others that aren't. His is one, and then also the Nova Corps I wasn't too impressed with.
Oh, the
Um,
Nova Corps. That's a big one for me. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't want to bash whoever the costume designer is, but it's just to me these movies that make millions of dollars should probably.
I think it fit into the world they kind of set up. It was kind of like this weird, like almost like a Neo Blade Runner kind of type esque space. You know,
right, right.
like
See,
everything was kind of edgy and modern and smooth, and kind of broader colors and that kind of stuff.
right, seeing it for the first time, you get it as a army. This is a good army outfit, but appealing wise, in the future for what we know them as, the Nova Corps, it's very lacking and kind of disappointing. But it does, just saying the name and having the certain symbol, it helps you think about the future and what Marvel could do in the future for them. But yeah, I agree with the doc saying that this was a little disappointing. Also with the Collector, I don't know. I like his hair. Where is he? Yeah, I mean that's really the Collector to me. He doesn't need any fancy robes or anything like that.
Well, y'all still haven't. Um, y'all are the odd men out because you haven't seen the Last Jedi yet. I don't think.
Right.
No, and I haven't yet.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Spielberg's
a lot of people have complained about his performance in that as well. So I don't know. He just makes some odd choices. Like I liked him in um wow, now I'm forgetting what movie it was. I don't have anything. Basically, what I'm saying is I don't have anything against Benicio del Toro in particular. It's just I don't know. I think this one was just either a cash grab, which I mean, roles in general, it's their job. They're wanting to get paid, but it was just kind of like phoned in performance. Um, the Last Jedi, though, I will say I do think he did try because to me it was pretty impressive, but a lot of people they didn't like it.
I mean, yes, yeah. Some actors are going to pull that creative stuff, and in a movie with a talking raccoon in it, like Steven said, and a walking talking tree. And I was why not? Who's gonna say no to Benicio del Toro? Especially in this kind of movie. I think the set pieces a lot of the places we go to in this movie is again really great. Especially like the times we get to see Thanos, his whole kind of like, I think, what do they call it? Sanctuary, right? Sanctuary is where Thanos is at. Nowhere, where they all end up going, or I think the Collector is at. Um, I don't remember what Nova's place is called. I have a bunch of notes. What was that?
Xandar.
Xandar, right. Xandar, yeah. So I thought all these places were very cool looking, and it just felt again like this. There is this world out there, these worlds out there, I should say, that exist. So when that whole Infinity War train comes to a head, it's like this is gonna be huge.
Right, absolutely agree with the explosive Infinity War that's coming real soon, and I'm a little worried about it. Seeing spoilers online and seeing reviews come out already. I'm a little concerned now about the movie and where it's going to end, but that's going to be a discussion for a different time.
Come mid-April, I'm gonna have to. It's gonna be very hard to do this show because I'm gonna have to just not get on the internet at all.
Right.
Oh,
So,
I am basically already there.
but yeah, this movie, I think, because with the first Avengers movie, we didn't quite know that the cosmic cube was an Infinity Stone until this movie. Um, and again, we've talked about it. Thor: The Dark World, not a great movie. I think this was the first movie that had an Infinity Stone, and it actually, the Infinity Stone actually did something cool. It was important to
Well,
the
Avengers
movie.
was good.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. We didn't know that it was an Infinity Stone though,
I guess, yeah.
to this up until this point. Um, but yeah, like it mattered to the story. They weaved it in really nicely, and they were able, like what Tim was saying, they were able to get Thanos in here. So everything mattered. It's again, it wasn't just fan service. Oh, let's throw Thanos in here just so everybody can see him again and we can remind them that he's still around. He's lurking. No, but yeah, he's here because of this thing, and not only does Ronan want it, but Thanos does too. And I liked their whole quarrel that they had
Mm-hmm.
over it. Like it was
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. Brolin, I think uh, I was a little on the fence when I heard about him being casted as Thanos and stuff like that. But then, like, just once you get it, once you have him in that role and he delivers those lines, I'm like, all right, yeah, I don't see a problem with this.
Right. This is really I really like this Thanos compared to the Infinity War Thanos that I'm seeing. Um, I don't know. I think it's maybe the eyebrows or the skin tone or just the way he like maneuvers in his chair that he doesn't get up from. Uh, it's crazy because when he spoke to Ronan and giving little idle threats and everything like that, his voice filled the entire room, and I don't know how it did that in my crappy little TV, but I was like, this guy's like overpowering through my television. Like he has such a presence about him that it's overwhelming, and I just absolutely love it, or love him as the villain compared to Ronan, because Ronan was really the sad part about this movie because he was such a great character. Um, he could have been a great character, I should say, but he just ended up being a one center revenge kind of character, and it's he didn't really have a lot of layers about him. He was just like, I'm gonna get revenge, I'm gonna do whatever means necessary, I'm gonna take a bath or swim in my enemy's blood, which was really weird. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Did Stanley make a cameo in this one, right? He did, of course, right?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was on Xandar with Rocket and Groot when we first met them, and he was a ladies' man apparently.
Oh, right. I remember hearing that initially. I think they were gonna make him like one of the collectors, like things.
Just like an old man in a cage.
Yeah, and then like it was
Oh
gonna
my
be
gosh.
probably like where they were. I think that he was gonna be like where Cosmo the dog was. I
You
think he
know
was
what?
gonna supposed to be there,
It would
and
have
then
been
like when
dope
they're
to
walking
have.
by, he like flips off Groot or Rocket. I forget.
It would have been dope to have him with Howard the Duck, just like them two talking. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
also Nathan Fillion was in this, and I'm kind of glad. Sometimes I don't know why I'm sometimes with movies I like knowing spoilers, and then other times with movies I don't like uh, hearing spoilers. With this movie, I going into it, I knew Nathan Fillion was the this monstrous inmate as he's tagged on IMDb. That's what he's credited as. Um, and I was kind of glad because you can't really tell that it's him. Obviously, they modulated his voice or whatever, but he's in there, and I thought that that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you'll have to.
Which one is he?
Yeah, well, he's the rapey one.
Oh,
Okay.
that's Nathan Fillion?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the
Oh,
one.
I had no idea. That's hilarious.
He was gonna lube Quill up and give him Nas a Jello shot or something like that. I don't know. It was very uncomfortable. Luckily, Groot stopped it. I was like, thank goodness. I don't know who Nathan Fillion is. I heard that name a lot. Research about this movie. I have no idea who that guy is.
He is the rightful successor to Harrison Ford as Han Solo, in my opinion. But you know,
So he's
he's
the new
not
guy.
young enough. He's not young enough.
Oh, okay. So he's a nobody.
Oh, he's a big actor.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's a
big
big actor. He's on Castle. For the fans of Castle listening to this, if you're out there, um,
If those the fans of Castle and people that listen to our podcast, it's
there has to be because I'm both. So I
two very
mean,
distinct circles, I think.
it's a 1% chance. I am of that 1%. But yeah, he's from Castle Firefly, so that's pretty big. Has a pretty big fandom behind it. I liked Firefly, wasn't too big on it, but anyway, Nathan Fillion, everybody, there you go.
Yeah, the rapey alien. Good job.
Well, I think the whole cast in this is really great. I mean, what's this? Chris Pratt uh, fits really well for Star Lord, like this modern Han Solo type character for kids to kind of look up to slash want to pretend to be. Yeah, he adds that whole ad lib Chris Pratt charm to all his lines. So
Yeah.
I think Zoe Saldana does a really good job as Gamora. Really, really like was happy with the choice that she made to wanting to sit through the makeup rather than just doing the CGI or anything like that, like an Avatar or anything like that. So
Jennifer Lawrence.
definitely, no, I think hers was actually medical, but yeah, yeah, she was brave and she was committed, and it totally changed the movie, and yeah, for the better.
Well, speaking
Um,
of commitment, Drax must have had to undergo like thorough makeup.
oh yeah, I heard it was like, oh man, I don't even know how long it was.
Um, but yeah, Chris Pratt's performance as Star Lord was so strong that it seems like it's been difficult for him to break this character uh, in other movies because I know a lot of people like kind of compared his
Yeah, oh,
character to
sorry.
Jurassic World and
Hmm.
to this one. And since this movie, everybody has been chanting, Indiana Jones, Indiana Jones.
Right. I think he found this role kind of like how Thor found his role. Like, as soon as Hemsworth gets out of it, you still view him as Thor, like just as you view Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Chris Pratt was made for Star-Lord, and Star-Lord was made for Chris Pratt. I mean, they go hand in hand together. I don't think he'll ever be able to get away from this movie unless he gets fat again. He could get fat again, and then
it says the makeup artist did 18 prosthetic tattoo pieces for Dave Bautista.
Yeah,
and that huh?
No, go ahead. I was just agreeing with you. That's a crazy amount.
Yeah, and then it was like an average of 3 hours for the process of putting it on, but then they took it down to like an hour and a half for taking off all the makeup.
Okay, real quick, because Steven brought up Fat Pratt.
Yes, Pratt.
Funny story. My coworker and I were totally talking about that. We were like, what if after Infinity War, Star-Lord is just so distraught, he just kind of disbands the Guardians and he just kind of leaves and totally like lets go of himself and he gains his weight. Wouldn't that be like hilarious for the third movie? There's like a little subplot, him like working out again, like, like running.
If they make it a Rocky kind of movie where he has to get back in shape and like chase space chickens around the ship, I would be so down for that. You have no idea.
Yeah, I'd be cool with
that. Just Howard the Duck and his family.
Yeah. And then he's like lifting weights with like Drax, and then like Groot is like lifting like way more weights, but like acting like it's no big deal. Rocket's trying to get him some enhanced pills that'll make him like have a third eye, but still be skinny or something like that. So he's like,
all right, let's
Gamora's trying to like teach him
on to what
we got it. We got to talk about the most important thing about a Marvel movie is its villain. What did you guys think of Ronan the Accuser in this?
I really liked him. I thought, as Steven mentioned, as weird, or he called it weird, bathing in blood, but I thought it was like pretty menacing, like for him to do that, and it was pretty ballsy of Disney to allow, James Gunn to do that, or I don't know. James Gunn is kind of known to stick it to the man, but
it kind of reminded me of the Daredevil where he sleeps in his water coffin.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like
the Ben Affleck one.
Yeah, the Ben Affleck one, of course.
Oh, well, I thought you were talking about the Netflix where Elektra is like put in that blood coffin.
No,
that's a good one too.
That's a good one too.
But yeah, who knows? Like sometimes directors, I don't know if they are able to withhold stuff from studios. I think I've heard of that happening, but I'm not too sure because I don't work there. So anyway, but yeah, like he was pretty menacing, and I thought his weapon was pretty freaking awesome as well. After
just a big old hammer.
Yeah,
just a big old hammer for smashing stuff.
I think it was the idea of it being like almost like a staff and a hammer, like all in one, was really cool to me. And after seeing this, I was just like, man, I want Stormbreaker. I want Stormbreaker so bad.
Yeah, that's also that'd be a good one. That was a big what's it? Seeing all the stuff in the collector's thing, I think that was one of the big things, was just like, oh, that's Beta Ray Bill. When it was just like one of those things in there. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, this movie, I think, started the whole Beta Ray Bill, and then every movie afterwards they were like Beta Ray Bill, and I was like, it's gonna be a while, guys.
You guys gonna do it though? Are you guys really gonna do it?
They were like, Thor Ragnarok, Thor's gonna die, and Beta Ray Bill, and I was like,
he's ready. He's ready to take over.
I think we have to talk about the Celestial in the room, meaning the ending of how they defeated Ronan.
I thought we were going to actually talk about the Celestials.
No, I was just trying to think of the equivalent of a bigger elephant in the room, so I thought of Celestials.
Okay.
I was thinking of the the dance battle. I mean, what a way. I know, I get it. You try to be zany, you try to be quirky, you try to be funny, witty on top of the game, trying to be with the cool kids, but that's not how you do it.
It was a little too far.
I mean, they did kind of make it up with the whole, power tornado and you said it yourself,
Yeah, that was awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. But they couldn't think of a single piece of dialogue. They're like, nah, watch this. Dance moves, distracted by some dance moves. Here we go. And you're like, what was that? And you're like, I was distracted from the movie because of those dance moves, and that's not okay. You want me to be in the
Yeah.
movie, not out of the movie.
They couldn't top. There was no way they could top the uh I guess you could call it the second opening of the movie of him dancing and kicking the little space rats around. So it's like I don't even know why they tried doing it, but I chuckled, but it was kind of I was taken out of it just a little bit. I was like, what's happening? Is he really doing this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of these scenes in this movie that feels kind of like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen, but we put it in there anyway because it's like funny. It also kind of fits into the character, like when Star Lord pulls out the orb to give it to the Collector and he drops it and then he like, picks it up again, Or what was the other one? I think the other one is like another thing where that it's just like an improv line where it fits the joke better or something like that.
right.
The
It looks
dance
like
scene felt like one of those, like it was like a joke, and then it just like went into the final movie. So it was just like, oh, this is Chris Pratt doing this, and I was just like, oh, wait a minute, no, this is the whole movie. I can't believe that they put this in the final cut.
yeah, it definitely seemed like they left a few bloopers behind. And you're like, this shouldn't have made it, but I guess we're continuing, and I guess I already paid for my ticket, but I guess it's fine. The problem with that though is with when Rocket, we're talking about the final battle on Xandar where Ronan comes. He already has the Infinity Stone, so I think the shield already broke of the Nova Cores, which we'll get into later. But then Rocket throws his ship into the place where his friends are, where they tried to kill Ronan with the big old space gun, but it didn't work out. It was just like made him all smoky like. So Rocket was like, I have a great idea. Let me crash my ship into his ship and then make it hurtle toward the planet where we're not supposed to let him touch it. That was the number one plan, Rocket, not to let him touch the ground. And you just like made the engines lose control. You just let gravity do its work and plummet to the Earth or the planet. And I don't know. Rocket right there was made a really dumb move, and I just
Well, I mean, when like the whole planet's like defenses is like to make a net out of all their like super cool spaceships, and it's like make a net. It's kind of just like their options were limited.
Net. Net.
Yeah, like they needed all the help they could get. So they crashing into it was just delaying the inevitable.
yeah, it was pretty bad. The Nova cores were also just they were like
It was such just a disappointment to have all this great kind of like, yeah, that's pretty much right. Like, yeah, that's kind of correct, and all that kind of stuff. And then for the Nova Core, like this big old thing with Nova Prime and everything, is kind of just left to like, oh, they're kind of like the police on this planet. It was just like, well, hold on, no.
Yeah.
yeah.
It
I
was the
mean,
most disappointing part. And then on top of that, their spaceships were made out of some weird kind of origami, paper thin tin metal. Because like if I was flying in one of those things and I was getting that close to a ship, I would have aborted. Like
right,
I would have been the
definitely would
first
have.
to be out. But it was pretty
Right?
cool
What make?
because, oh, sorry.
I was gonna say just make them, remote piloted.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why they did that in the second movie. Um, but I thought it was pretty cool because when they first, gave that command and then they all started grouping together, I was like, what's going on? I didn't really know what was happening. And then it all comes together that, oh, they're making this ginormous, net thing. But yeah, way too thin of ships to do that. Like, you need some X-wings up in there. You need some distance. Your cockpit needs some distance from your bumper.
Right. And also when they are probably like chained linked together to make the net, when one exploded, it seemed like it set off a chain reaction that every single one had to explode too. So I'm like, what good was that do? You just have to take out one when you're a part of a net, and then everything else is dead. Everything else blows up and is destroyed. I just a really flawed plan there, Nova Corps. And we're gonna leave you with, and here's Infinity Stone. By the way, you have to take charge of this Infinity Stone. You have no army, you have nothing defensive wise. Here you go. Here's the most powerful.
And your costumes kind of look dumb.
I just
Well, again, Kevin Feige being the master planner, maybe they'll end up making a joke about the Nova Corps' costumes in the third movie because, I don't know what's going to happen in Infinity War, but I'm assuming that one of the Infinity Stones has to get in the hands of, oh wow, I'm forgetting his name. What's the main Nova guy's name? I mean, there's two of them. There's the younger one, and then there's the older guy.
yeah, the Grandpa Nova.
But yeah, like I have a feeling like that's how they'll introduce the actual character Nova, who we know from the comics as actually having powers and everything. Uh, Sorry, I had to look it up. Richard Rider. Jeez, I forgot his name. Yeah, I have a feeling that he'll eventually get an Infinity Stone, and maybe his costume will be, the cooler one, and they'll just still have lame costumes.
Well, I'm really hoping that since the power Infinity Stone is at Xandar with the Nova Corps, that they like try to do a little bit of experimentation on it, like we'll see in Age of Ultron, and they get powers that way, like that way they like fuse the Infinity Stones with their helmets, and that way we get the true Nova Corps that we know from the comics. That would be awesome. That's what I'm really hoping.
That would be, yeah. But the thing I think we all want to talk about, what we really came here to talk about, is that Celestial, because we didn't talk about it.
Yeah, that's a big name drop right there. And
Well,
to
even that
show
whole,
footage of it and all that, like that
yeah,
was
even the
crazy.
whole history of the Infinity Stones was really cool.
hmm I like calling them Infinity Gems, but I'll get it. We'll call them stones for the MCU.
I used to like gems as well, but I think the reason they uh might have changed it was, I don't know. Like gems to me, when I think of gems, I think of those things from like the Sonic universe. I'm pretty sure those were called gems. But anyway, yeah, the Celestial was super cool to see. It was finally like Kirby incarnate.
hmm
Um,
The
because
the best kind of work you want for your space themed adventures and operas and all that kind of stuff.
exactly, yeah. And if they would have like surrounded him in like Kirby Crackle, it would have even been better. But I'm fine with getting what we got. Like it was really freaking awesome. Um, and I'm still just in shock. I am baffled at how we have gotten Inhumans and still no Eternals. Like Marvel guys, are you with me on this? Eternal fans, what's happening? We need to like,
This is a big deal. They also mentioned like Nowhere was also like was once a Celestial, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of it's
so much cool history to mine here. Like you have a gold mine.
Well, isn't that just it? That it is history? It seems to me that all the Celestials are dead now. So why would you have to go through everything about them, with the internals and everything?
Well,
I
I
know
think
nothing about the
they're
internals.
still gonna play a pivotal role at some point. I don't know if it's gonna be Infinity War. I don't know uh, if they'll have time for that or room for it. But then again, that movie is, what's the runtime for that? 3 hours?
2.5, right?
Yeah, I think it's pushing three. But yeah, like it was it was so cool seeing it. It wasn't the Celestial in particular, even though the artist, because it was closer not to Kirby's, but it was closer to I'm forgetting the artist. I don't have time to look it up. But if you read Neil Gaiman's Eternals comic, that particular artist who did the his interpretation of what Celestials look like, it was closer to that. But I mean, it's still heavily influenced by Kirby.
Yeah,
But gosh, it was so darn cool.
for sure. I mean, uh, where's my extra bonus feature kind of thing where it's just like kind of an audiobook, kind of like a museum walkthrough where it kind of just talks to you all about all the crazy nerdy stuff in Marvel movies.
I think also during that history lesson that the collector gave the Guardians, we got to see the Soul Stone for the first time, and it kind of gave me no idea. It gave me no idea of where it could be based on the color, based on the shape, or anything. I'm really disappointed because that's the last one we have before Infinity War. I really want to get my theories correct about it because I've heard some other theories about where it is, and we talked about Doc's theory about, but man, that's kind of like haunting me now. It kind of just reminded me that we still have no idea where that sixth and final stone is.
Well, you got to also talk about the other big outrage that, kind of went up with what James Gunn said. Groot's dead.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was pretty recent.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna lead off with that one and being like, actually, I'm not Tim. I'm Tim's reincarnated self slash son. Tim's dead. I am Tim.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was really crazy when I read that. I
Yeah.
had
If you're
no
not caught up and you don't know what we're talking about, James Gunn did a tweet. Basically, I mean, he's confirming it, but I mean, nobody has to listen to this guy. I mean, he made a movie. He's not his word isn't law, but he's saying that Groot is dead and that the baby Groot that we see in Volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy is actually technically Groot's son. So what you thought before was it's Groot, and he kind of did hit the reset button. It's like, nope, that's just a whole nother different Groot.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I think I kind of have a feeling that he's just pulling a Taika Waititi on us, and because Taika is really tongue in cheek, and I love him for it because he's hilarious and he is so aware of the kind of world we live in now with social media and everything, and how things can blow up and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he toys with us. He's infamous for doing that, and I kind of think that's what's happening here, but I mean, it definitely makes sense. I mean, his personality kind of changes. The only thing that I would challenge though is his memory's still there. Like he knows who all these people are in the following movie, and we're kind of touching volume 2 territory now,
Yeah, sorry.
but yeah, like I don't know. I think it's a good debate.
Well, I was
Uh,
gonna say, didn't
Go
James?
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm telling you.
Okay, I was gonna say James Gunn tweeted, I think during this fanfare of this movie, that this Groot that's on the screen right now isn't really like the final form of Groot yet. In fact, like he could grow older and older, and I think there was like a Marvel Select figure of a huge Groot that was like more oakish, like more darker, mahogany kind of thing. That was like probably 3 times the size of that Groot. So I'm wondering if it's his son, then he probably had him when he was like pretty young or something. Or how old do you think Groot is based on human terms to have a kid? And wouldn't all the twigs that were on Xandar be kids? Or why is this one twig that Rocket picked up turn into the child? Even if it is the child, which I don't think. I mean, it has to be Groot still. I mean, he says, I am Groot.
Yeah, well, I think doesn't their whole species say that though? So,
Yeah, I mean,
but
it's
I
kind of
agree. I do agree with you though.
yeah. No offense to James Gunn. I'm not listening to you. It is the same group
You ain't no Kevin Feige.
until it is said so in the story. You know, like we as the audience are entitled to interpret it however way we want, and I think we all interpret it the same way
Yeah.
because that's how it was portrayed, and it was not said otherwise.
So
But
stop
sure,
messing with my emotions, James Gunn.
yeah, I know it's so crazy. Like, what if like was it a translation thing then? Because like, why weren't they just calling him like Groot Junior instead of Baby Groot?
Oh, you know what? Drax did call him that. He said, "Get out of the way, dumber, smaller Groot."
Yeah, because he doesn't know like what a baby is.
Right. So I guess so, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm calling James Gunn. I have him in my contacts. I'll call
Yeah,
him.
you
All right.
got a lot of calls from today,
Yeah,
huh?
I avoided it. You know, I'm gonna call him right after this podcast. But I was gonna say, of course, we love these characters. I know we haven't really touched on them, but everybody loves Groot. Everybody loves Rocket. They're witty. They're funny. Show sadness. They show anger, like all of us. The two most CGI characters that weren't on the set play with real emotions and show them. And we get it. I mean, everybody knows it. Everybody talks about it. But I was going to talk about Nebula. And the silence kind of confirms that, is that she.
Well, what did you want to talk about?
Well, I'm saying, like, what were your thoughts on her? I mean, you said, you gave your thoughts on Ronan. We gave our thoughts
Oh,
on.
okay. So you're just asking us what our thoughts on her
Right.
overall.
Right.
Okay. I thought she was kind of cool. A little bit of a Terminator kind of vibe from him. Um, I don't think I read. I don't recall. I didn't recall Infinity Gauntlet. I reread it after this movie, but I didn't know that much about Nebula. I think going straight into it, like I did not do my research on it beforehand, her beforehand. So it was kind of just like me being reintroduced to the character. But I mean, I knew her by name and all that kind of stuff. I knew her relationships with everybody. So I mean, yeah, I think the actress did great. What's her name? Like Karen Gillian or something? What?
Karen Gillian.
Oh, okay, yeah, Karen Gillian. Yeah, I think she did a real good job. Again, more uh, makeup artist work. Like probably 5 hours for her. I mean, she's like, two different kind of like whole, made out of two different substances. So yeah, I mean, I thought Nebula was cool. I was kind of hoping she'd be more of a bigger, badder guy for volume two when she like ran away. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind with her being the big bad for the next one, even though that's kind of a little predictable. But I mean, she was great.
Yeah, I really liked her, and the fact that we kind of got her backstory, a little bit of her history with her, not only her sister but with her father, which I feel like is more important because it's going to play into Infinity War. Um, I thought all of it was great that they were able to touch on all of that lore. I think the same thing as Tim. I didn't really know too much about her character, just that she was in Infinity Gauntlet. But before that, I don't know her history. But um, I mean, yes, just from my knowledge of Infinity Gauntlet, they did her pretty darn good justice. I mean, she was obviously tormented by her father, which, can check that one off. Uh, she's a BA, like Tim was saying. Check that one off. Okay, yeah. Um, will she grab the gauntlet? That's my last checkbox. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's still got beef with Thanos. I mean, obviously, the way of them just going about it, I'm really interested to see it.
I,
Because
w-
yeah,
I
I've
would
reread. But
I was gonna say I would not mind at all at the end of Infinity War, like the Avengers are sprayed out, like they're all like about to pass out, and some of them are dead and everything, and like the world's about to extinguish, and then all of a sudden Nebula jumps out of nowhere and like kills Thanos, grabs the Infinity Gauntlet. It's like I win, my win, and you're like, where did she come from? It's like she always does that. She's always just like in and out of movies and such. Oh man, I mean, I really liked her character, but for me, if I had to rate these top villains between Thanos, Ronan, and Nebula, and I want to hear your thoughts too, who would you put as the best villain? I think we all know it's Thanos first. I'm thinking Nebula, and then Ronan last.
I would actually put, because Thanos was kind of, he had a presence, but I actually wanted him to have a little bit more of a presence. But I was like, okay, maybe they're saving it for Guardians 2. And then James Gunn came out later and was like, oh no, this one's not going to really be too much about Thanos. I was like, okay, cool. But I would actually, I think I would put her at the top of my list just because I was really, really impressed with her performance just coming off of her coming off of TV in the BBC network. So um, yeah, I thought it was really impressive. And again, I liked her history and her chemistry with her sister and her father. And like we said, it's still going to play into these future movies. So I think it would be her number one on my list, and then Thanos Ronan.
Tim?
for favorite characters out of all,
No, the three villains, top villains.
oh, in Guardians only
Yeah,
exclusively.
yes.
I don't know. Ronan at the bottom. I mean, what was kind of the point of him? He was going to be one note anyway. Sorry, he's a Marvel movie villain. I figured he wasn't going to go anywhere that much. He was kind of just the short obstacle for the gang to start working together. Thanos at the top and Nebula in the middle. You kind of don't really get to know her until Volume 2 a bit, and even then, she's kind of a anti-hero versus you know anti-enemy or something. So yeah, I mean Thanos, Nebula, Ronan at the bottom.
I think you really do have to watch Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, like kind of back to back to get Nebula's full story. It's almost like how they're doing. I wouldn't say she's the Scarlet Witch of the Avengers, where like her story's being told in the background, but I sort of get that feeling like we just get to know her better each movie that she's in, which I really appreciate it and I really like. The other blue alien we have to talk about, there's like eight blue aliens in this movie. I mean, it's really complicated when you're telling people who don't know anything about Marvel films. You're like, this blue alien helps this blue alien track down this blue alien. But that's Yandu. I mean, but this is the blue alien I want to talk about. Man, this guy made the film for me. I mean, when just having hints throughout the entire movie of what he could do, and then finally at the end where his plane crashes and he takes out like 15 guys and a small ship by himself, I was hooked. It was like Michael who? Rooker? Yeah, Michael Rooker was the best character for to play him. I know when I looked him up, he is very different from his comic adaptation, but I absolutely love him. I absolutely love this character, Yandu.
Yeah, Michael Rooker did a real great job. They totally went a different path from the comic book character, so it was kind of interesting to see how you know this character acted, what he valued, because he felt like a completely different, just overall entity from the comic book ones, which I think was in better taste, I think, rather than just having another Arrow guy, kind of like Hawkeye mixed with like kind of a bit of a, I guess, a Native American kind of thing. I mean, he's got the mohawk, he uses a bow and arrow kind of thing. Didn't wear clothes a lot. I think he just kept it down to a loincloth, if I remember correctly. So it was like, it was a little weird. So having this new rendition of Yondu, it was really great to see.
For me, he was a good supporting character. I'll say that. Like he was a pretty solid supporting character.
He did his role.
Yeah. Again, we're touching a little bit on Volume 2 territory, but I preferred him in that, and that's all I'll say. But this one, he did pretty good. I did enjoy that scene where he dropped all those dudes, but it would have been better had those dudes not been, just mindless robot guys, people. I think that's what kind of dampened it for me. But I mean, that's not his fault. But as far as his performance,
a lot of no face bad guys in this one too. It had a bunch of like putty Power Ranger kind of guys.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, as far as his performance, I really enjoyed it just because I hadn't seen this guy in anything else, Rooker. I'm trying to think right now, and I really can't think of anything else I've seen him in. I think he's done TV stuff, maybe, possibly. I'm not too sure. But
who, Rooker?
Yeah, has he? Has he?
He did Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. Okay, yeah, I knew I've seen him somewhere. I was like, I know he's from something, but yeah. So it was kind of surprising because I was like, okay, he's kind of like an unknown, and so it was refreshing.
Apparently, he did a lot of 1980 movies back in the day. But yeah, I was gonna say the way he carried this character and the kind of like supporting army too, like all the one shots of the Ravengers, the what's his first name, the brother of James Gunn, who came up with the awesome line of Rocket.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what, guys? I'm changing my top 3 villains. I'm going Nebula. My second, I'm going Thanos, and my third, I'm going Korath. We didn't even talk about Korath, dude.
Who's that?
He's the guy.
He's the one who goes like he doesn't know who Star-Lord is, and then he calls him Star-Lord, and he's like, finally,
this guy.
Yeah, like that guy was better than Ronan.
Yes. Dude, I was gonna say, I admit, I think it's just because he had a little bit more of a relationship with kind of the heroes, like at least with Star-Lord, and then it was like when he squares off with them. I mean, he even gives Drax a bit of a run for his money when he's kind of facing off all 3 of them: Groot, Drax, and Star-Lord. So yeah, I think he was definitely to have to go up there.
Yeah, right. He's like Ronan's. If Ronan is Thor, then Korath is Heimdall. Like you gotta have him.
Okay. Well, the problem I had with him is that his skull was kind of ripped in half toward the end of the movie, and I didn't have to see that. I didn't have to see Drax rip a guy's skull in half. Basically, it was very violent. At first, it was
just like a robot piece.
Sure, but it was also then had a seizure and then died right in front of me.
The seizure was a little bit.
I mean, great acting. Great acting.
I was gonna say the opposite. I didn't like the seizure part.
It was really like made me believe he was dead.
It was almost as bad as Talia al Ghul's death in The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh,
almost,
like slumped.
Yeah.
She was like, I told you I'm gonna faint if I don't have lunch soon. Oh, I'm dead. Like, perfect, we got it. Yeah, that was terrible. But yeah, this guy was great. You know, we seen him from the beginning. We saw him at the end. I totally forgot about him. He, didn't say his name a lot, but yeah, he was a very memorable character that I appreciated. For my new villain list, I don't know, Thanos, Nebula, Korath, and then Ronan, I guess. That's
all right. Are we
Does that
flying in? Are we
I was
flying
gonna
in?
say, I think does that mean we're headed to the negative zone?
All right, the negative zone. A lot of negatives. I'm gonna keep it short because I like this movie. So I'm just gonna keep it nice and short. Gonna grab some goodies from them. One is from Ratchet Tells 73. I think this is his phone number. I'm not gonna say that out loud. I don't know why he put his phone number in there. It's from September 24th, 2014. 1 out of 10. Awful movie, not worthy any money. Exclamation mark. So my son and I went to watch Guardians of the Galaxy. After reading mixed reviews, we were skeptical but curious. The bad reviews, unfortunately, were right. The movie had no storyline, stupid characters like a talking raccoon, and more bad language than the most R-rated films I have ever seen. The producers were trying to cover for the lack of plot with senseless action scenes that all seem random and disconnected. Do yourself a favor and save the money you spend. You will get more pleasure from a big cup of ice cream. I can't believe Glenn Close and Vin Diesel took even small roles in this. My son's quote, I totally agree with Dad. There was no point in making this movie. The movie is overdramatic, for instance. In the beginning of the movie, Star-Lord's mom dies from cancer, and she asks him to hold her hand while she dies. He looks away and cries. Then, after she dies, he runs out of the hospital and gets kidnapped by aliens. The characters are really bad made. Like the evil dude who has a half robot daughter that just stands around him like an eavesdropping servant or a maiden who tries to kill Ronan. So a lot of this movie is stupid. We left the theater halfway though. A nice little father and son review. I mean, bringing family closer together in this hateful review is really what it's
I
all
mean,
about.
I'm surprised that there was like no joy felt like at all for this movie. Like, I mean, I don't think it's uh, you know, perfect. It's like the perfect Marvel movie, but I felt some joy out of it.
I'm confused why he can't understand why Glenn Close, the discount Meryl Streep, would do a movie like this. Like he needs to calm down.
Yeah, it is basically budget Meryl Streep.
Um,
I can't believe he was like stupid characters like a talking raccoon. Are you kidding me? A talking raccoon who like is a master engineer and a genius and a pilot and everything? Like
well,
that's
and it seems like his son, which I don't know the age of his son because I doubt they say that in their review or whatever or the heading of it, but uh, his son like seemed like he completely scoffed at the idea of somebody having cancer and feeling emotional for them, feeling empathy for a person that has cancer. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
yeah, I did have to agree though that the bad language really took me it wasn't, so horrible and rated R, but it
It
did.
was a little jarring.
Yeah, it was a jarring kind of thing. You're like, oh, okay. Is this gonna be more of this, or oh, okay, it is. Okay, I
Yeah.
may have to watch out if I, want my nephews and nieces to repeat this, kind of language. Thanks, Disney.
What's
Uh,
the next one after this one? Guardians? What's it after Guardians?
Age of Ultron, right?
Yeah, and in Age of Ultron, they do the joke language.
Right. I know. I guess they were
So
telling.
it feels like they kind of were doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, but kind of jarring, but it was good. It's kind of, for this movie, you kind of had to go crazy, go hard, or go home, really. And they really went hard for this movie throughout with the set developments, the actors, and the script. I really, really liked it. Okay, I got one more. I don't have a name. If one of you guys want to give me a name.
Baby Gun.
Okay.
That's not a name.
That's a. I'll say like Baby Gun 74. Gave it a 4 out of 10 stars. By the way, they're okay. I'll just start it. I like Elektra more than this. I rather watch that 5 times.
Okay, all right, just stop
feel
there.
like
I'm
that
just
said something. The only reason I smiled or laughed was because the directors and the scriptwriters were decent at making corny jokes, puns, and lines funny enough that giggling is impossible.
Okay, so they did their job at writing you.
Call me a spoil sport if you must, but I was literally whispering what would happen in the next minute to my friend beside me. Usually, I'm not very good at predicting what happens in films unless they are seriously full of cliches, which this film is. But I said them anyway. I was right 8 times out of 9. I counted. Sorry, I lost the voice. Maybe that was intentional, and Marvel fans just wanted to see something new, more unique heroes this time, and also to see the visuals, and maybe to see Chris Pratt and Zoe Saldana's pretty butts. But whatever, I had half the mind prepared for a cliche-tuned awesome movie when I walked in the theater. I came out with my whole mind filling up and overloading with shame and displeasure.
This is the weirdest review I've ever heard.
I mean, this is what the negative zone delivers.
I have never laughed more at negative zones than tonight, and it's definitely the voices. Good on you, Steven.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, I mean, I had to skim this down. This is not, I took out some previous negative zones that were just basically repeating what others said, but yeah.
Yeah, they just didn't meet up to this one.
Yeah, I don't know what, maybe they saw a bootleg version of this, but if you want to see Elektra more than this, and they would rather see it 5 times.
Yeah, I was gonna say multiple times in general, just like twice is even bad.
And the fact that go ahead.
Look. I've said it in the past. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But if you like Elektra, you're a retard. Like, something's wrong with you. Like, you got to get checked or something. Like, you need something's off.
I don't mind if you like Elektra, but there's no way you watch it more than once. Like, I remember people leaving the theater or watching it on a DVD and being like, I like that. I'm like, I did not like that. And I'm like, would you go see it again? And they're like, no. Well, no, I would not give this money again. I did my time. I served what I was required. Now I don't need to do it again. So, I think that's just the whole watching it again. Like, yeah, you can like Elektra, but there's no way I'm believing that you're wanting to watch that multiple times.
And the fact that Baby Gunn is talking 9 times during the movie? What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, I was going to say, now we know what kind of person this guy is.
Girl.
The one that's talking throughout the theaters.
Yeah.
This is...
That'll definitely change any movie experience.
9...
If you were in the immediate rows in front of me, behind me, if you're in those kind of, including my own row, those 3 rows, if you're in there and you're talking and stuff like that, I will not mind telling you to, shut your mouth. If you're far away, I'm like, that's too far for me. Like, I'm not going to get up there. It's like that, But
yeah, I feel it's
and you're my immediate area. Yeah, I'm telling you, I should. There's no way.
It's your responsibility to, if an usher's not there.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Pulling
yeah, but just the fact that they were that the jokes were bad, but they made them laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah, like it was just because the writers wrote the jokes good that I laughed.
I've
What?
heard so many similar things about The Last Jedi that it's just yeah, it's retarded to me. I'm like,
And
then
this is
yeah,
like
they
the I
sorry.
was gonna say this is like the 10th Marvel movie, and they're saying like, "Oh, it was so predictable." I'm like, "Yeah, probably because it kind of is." Like that's not like it should be like that surprising to you. They're like, "I know what's gonna happen. They're gonna beat the bad guy." Like, what were the predictions?
They didn't give an example of them.
Exactly. So I'm sure there were very broad strokes with the this guy's way of thinking.
Yeah,
They're gonna beat the
unless
bad guy, and they're gonna use the stone to do it. And the power of friendship is stronger than the power of money or something.
What?
That's
eh,
the whole like thing, right? Because they're all selfish in the beginning, and then they all decide to team up together.
yeah, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again that unless this movie or these movies are called The Question, which is DC side,
Hmm.
or Marvel's side would be, I guess, Nick Fury, whatever,
Quill
espionage. Um,
questions and Quill.
yeah, no, I was just talking about like more like thriller mystery types. Then the movie's
Oh,
not going to be a mystery. Like you're gonna be able to predict it. Like not every movie is a mystery, and I've said this before, but I have to. It's worth repeating just because so many people think this way. Like, oh, I was able to predict it. Well, yeah, it's not really a mystery.
uh-huh.
If you check the IMDb page, it says action, whatever, fantasy. So I don't know what you thought you were
Wasn't a
watching,
tough nut
but
to crack.
maybe if you stopped talking, you would have actually seen the right movie and actually gotten something out of it. So
Yeah.
I I do have to agree with Baby Gunn though that I did kind of want to see Pratt and Zoe Saldana's pretty butts.
well, no doubt, no doubt.
No doubt. I mean,
I'd pass.
Even on Zoe Saldana, are you serious? Are you
I
serious,
mean,
Tim?
I mean,
Unless they find a way to work it into the story, I don't see why.
they,
Just kidding. No, I'm
they
just kidding. I
did.
think
I
they
don't
only
need to
showed
pay
that.
money, I guess.
Yeah, they already showed that in Star Trek, so I'm good.
Yeah, Jackson Paulton painting up in here.
Okay, all right. Let's get out of the. Let's fly away from this.
Oh, tab. Okay, yeah. All right, cool. What's next?
Well, I was gonna say we should probably get into our ratings, so
Okay.
give our final thoughts and our ratings on Guardians of the Galaxy. So yeah, just get to see where all the MCU movies kind of stack up to each other as we're revisiting them down the way. So, Steven, did you want to go first or whichever one?
Yeah, I could go first if you guys like. The Guardians of the
I
Galaxy.
do.
Okay, I'll get right on.
Okay,
All right, sounds good.
go on then.
I'm going to. It's starting right
Cool. What are you waiting for?
now. Okay, the Guardians of the
Come on,
Galaxy
chicken. Let's do it. Go ahead.
is a great. I'm just gonna keep talking.
I am not no part of this. I am no part of this.
All right, the Guardians of the Galaxy. If you look at this history right here on the map, I'm gonna point with my little pointer finger. Um, all we got from the past four movies was pretty much absolute garbage. You can see by the doc's point of view is that went downhill. Like I mean, the stocks market crashed right about here. And now we're getting better movies from the MCU. We got Captain America the Winter Soldier, and now we're getting Guardians of the Galaxy. Tales that could astonish you. You see what I did there? My
No.
rating for this, huh?
What's the astonished joke?
I said tales that could astonish, like they did in it.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah. What with the characters, the costume design, the props, the script. I mean, James Gunn taking it to the man, like the doc said. The entire movie coming out of left field, shocking you in the face of how brilliant it is. I mean, there is no question in my mind that I am putting on this Infinity Gauntlet and giving it 6 out of 6 Infinity Stones. Absolutely anybody who disagrees is garbage, and I disassociate myself with them. I claim it, this Infinity Gauntlet, for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Right there. I'm marking it. It's in stone now. You can't undo it. It's in Excel.
All right. Well, call me garbage because let me tell you, Guardians of the Galaxy for me, it was pretty good. It was, after the two other movies we got previously. Well, I guess we got Winter Soldier. I was thinking of Iron Man 3 and Dark World, but it was really good to come out of a film that, I mostly enjoyed. But for me, like the costume design, I talked about it earlier, it was a little lacking, a little lackluster on some parts. It seems like the two halves of the film, they were kind of drastically different. As far as the script goes, I agree with Steven somewhat. The script was pretty strong and solid, but there was a lot of improv done, however. So, I mean, props to the actors, I guess. Again, props to Karen Gillan. I'll always know her as Amelia Pond. What up? But yeah, like a lot of great talent, a lot of unknowns that were able to shine, like Rooker as Yondu. But this movie also gave us like a lot of really great human moments. Like we got Peter's mom, we got moments with Peter and Gamora, with her listening to his music, and they sort of have a moment until she kind of interrupts that moment. But yeah, like James Gunn is just able to stick it to the man. He's true punk, if that's what, for lack of a better word. And he's able to give us, action, human moments, emotionality, stuff we can connect with. So I am gonna have to tip the scales. I'm gonna give this movie 4 out of 6 Infinity Stones.
All right. Take his medical license away from him. Garbage. Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Yeah, I think both you guys give fair reviews. I think the most notable feature that Guardians has going for it is that it's a quirky, kind of fun movie that has a banging soundtrack. It's got a bunch of jokes in it. I mean, we mentioned the soundtrack a bit, but I mean, it is kind of just like a bunch of top 100 Billboard songs just in a mix. So, I mean, yeah, it was no surprise that it kind of broke records when it was like, oh, it reached, #1 or something. Like, yeah, it's just a bunch of awesome songs on it. Yeah, I think that the movie it was good. It was okay. They again did a bit of they kind of strayed from the path without going too far. They just pushed the envelope a little bit with the sticking to the movie formula, but straying from the comic book source material, so that way you have a bit of a creative control and get to tell their story the way they interpret it. And the James Gunn's got an awesome creative mind, and giving him these characters kind of fits each other perfectly. Maybe it's pace, I think. is a little kind of weird at some points. I think the Nova thing is just a big kind of deal for me because I was really expecting like Nova to kind of be more of in a more serious tone. And I think the same thing with like the dance off at the end. That one just threw me for a loop because I was invested in the kind of actually high stakes. And then for this kind of like joke to come along, it was just like, you know, it did another reason why it gave me another reason why not to like Ronan for not just killing him right then and there. Like, come on, dude, seriously. And it also kind of gave me a reason to be like, not that big a fan of the movie. But I mean, did I walk out of the movie enjoying it? Yeah, I totally did. So I think I'd probably rate this a solid 5 out of 6 stars. Stones, gems. What is this?
All right, there you go.
Wait. Sorry, I passed out. What was the?
Oh, okay.
Jeez, I'm so sorry.
Tim, you're gonna have to start over from the beginning.
No.
Yeah. When I was 5,
I'm completely sorry.
no, I just put 5 out of 6 there, bud.
5. Okay. Wow. Okay. Good. Now I know to never do this podcast again with you guys. All right, last podcast. Because
I guess because I didn't lead with just 6 out of 6 right out the gate. Steven was just like not interested.
Yeah.
Anything you got to say? If it ain't 6 out of 6, going right out the other year.
Look at this. I got 2 out of 10 film, 2 out of 11 films that only deserve 6 out of 6.
Yeah.
Throwing them willy-nillys.
Yeah, because there's a lot of good movies out there.
Yeah, eventually there's going to be a lot of good movies. Phase 1 ain't so much. Okay. I mean, that's all our points. We are so close, guys, to finishing this podcast, or until the end of our journey to infinity, I should say, and finishing up the podcast. We got about 9 more to go, I think. 9 more episodes to go. We hope you stick around for all of them. I know. How do I get back here?
You gotta, if you like this video, like it. If you like the content or certain stuff that we're doing, let us know in the comments. If you don't like some stuff that we're doing in these episodes, let us know down in the comments. Even hit that dislike button, because that just shows what you're gonna want out of us to put into our content.
Communication is the key to make a better business work, and that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to better ourselves to better you guys. It's a win-win scenario. Totally not a pyramid scheme.
We are definitely not bettering anybody with this.
Yeah,
if anything, we're making them worse.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that. Doc, where can they hit you up if they want more prescriptions?
Yo, you can find me on Instagram at Dr. Cosmic. If you want your daily dose of comics, figures, movies, got it all over there. And right now I haven't been posting a lot because I have been reading too many comic books.
Gotta get back to
I can't stop. I'm kind of on a roll right now, and I'm really proud of myself because usually I don't finish anything. So there you go.
You should be doing like little short reviews on there.
I know I have something that it's in the works. It's my favorites of everything that I've read, not only from last year but starting this year too. So yeah, it's going to be some favorite moments of a lot of different cool comics.
Awesome.
Excellent. Cannot wait. Timothy, where can they find you if they want more of you today?
You can find me at Fishbone Malone on Instagram. That's where I do all my nerdy stuff. I keep it in that corner, so no one else. It doesn't spread everywhere. Gets in everyone's hair. I just entered Photo Combat 3, so I am raring to go. I am getting all my props and backdrops and my diodes and my cutouts. I'm getting ready. I'm pumped. I'm out. I'm coming out. I'm ready to, you know, I'm ready to go for the big dogs.
All right, if you want to know what the photo combat is, make sure you
Oh
look.
yeah. Go. Yeah. If you don't know what the photo combat is, go check out Articulate Comic Book Art on Instagram. Go check out articulatedcomicbookart.com. Check them out on Facebook. Check them out on YouTube. Like, yeah, go catch up on them. I mean, they're coming.
They're coming everywhere. Where you can find me is nerd Instagram. Man, I'm so sorry. I'm hella tired. Instagram at _nerdtron. There I'm also just digging myself a grave where I can sleep in. Finally, I've stayed up watching Jessica Jones all night yesterday.
Oh, binged it.
Yeah, I binged it. I did not get any sleep, and then my alarm went off, and I had to go to work. So, yeah, gotta
How
do.
was it though?
I mean, I
It was
didn't.
worth watching.
It's a bit slow pacing. It's a bit slow pacing at the beginning. It's only not until like episode 8, then it starts to ramp up a little bit. Starts to answer some of the questions it gives you. But yeah, so far really good. I can't wait till the end how they finish it. I'm super excited. I'm not gonna finish it tonight. I'm gonna finish it tomorrow. I'm gonna pass out. Also, you can look up the mobile game Marvel's Contest of Champions, where you can join my alliance, Skull Kill Crew (SKK). I'm playing that game 24/7, no doubt. That's basically what my life is. If I'm not on social media, I'm on that game. I gotta be the best,
The
and we
young
are
generations glued to their phone.
definitely, no doubt, to that mumble that you said. Um, all right. Next week is Age of Ultron, Avengers, a new Avengers movie. Super excited. Cannot wait. Um, what did they call him? The Red Hood before in the comics before he was revealed to be Ultron? Didn't they call him the Red Hood or something like that because he wore a cape? They made a reference about it in the movie when he was
I don't think. No, it wasn't Red Hood. It was like Scarlet or Crimson Cloak or something.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, I was gonna do some research. We're all gonna do some homework on that. It's probably gonna happen next week or something. But until then, y'all just keep on doing your wonderfulness and keep on just go to bed, please. Just go to sleep, get some